Hi, I'm Amanda Jane Woodall and welcome to my fashion school. A beautiful lady whose story tells us about the best and the worst of humanity. It's a bit harrowing, so if you're sensitive, then I would give this one a miss. It's Katie Piper. Born in 1983, Katie Piper had an idyllic childhood in a quiet Hampshire village. Her dad was the local barber and her mum was a teacher, and she had two siblings named Paul and Susie. She was an impish little chatterbox and she liked playing beauty salons, dolls and dressing up. She was pretty, popular and always the centre of attention. After finishing school, she studied hair and beauty, commuting to a local college in Basingstoke. And here she would learn salon skills and also worked on the musical Grease. She got work experience at the Harrods Beauty Department, and it was here she got a taste of luxury. After work, her and her colleagues would go to the nightclubs where they would emulate their teen idols Nicole Richie and Paris Hilton. She even had a secret plastic surgery on her chest, which she hid from her parents, fearing their disapproval. Her newfound confidence led to her entering a beauty pageant where she placed second runner-up as Miss Winchester. She trawled through the internet to find out how she could be a model, and she found that she would be perfect as a catalogue model and in advertising. The reality of modelling was tough, and she spent hours online trying to find opportunities and doing unpaid photo shoots so that she could build her portfolio. However, Katie was determined and she ended up getting some paid work modelling for sofa companies, for stock photo websites and also for lads magazines. Some of the shoots were light-hearted and fun and she got to wear expensive lingerie, but some of them were really strange and sleazy. As her career gained momentum, she became sucked into the modelling industry lifestyle, and this meant that she neglected to contact her parents, and because she was hiding what she was doing for a living, there became a distance between them. In 2006, she made the move to North London, where she just about could afford a pokey flat, and she paid for this with a job she had had on a low-budget, late-night satellite dating show. She really enjoyed being a presenter, and this made her hustle more to get some more opportunities on TV, and she did. She managed to land another presenting job on a similar show called The Lounge, where she would matchmake and give relationship advice to the people who called in. And during this time, she actually built a fan base, and she would get gifts and letters sent to her, and some were really nice. She got chocolates and teddies, but she also got some weird stuff, including a sachet of porridge. Having this fan base made Katie really believe in her career, and she started to long for something bigger than just cold bikini shoots and satellite TV shows that nobody even watched. She was now sharing her home with dancers and TV presenters and other models, and she kind of started to lose sight of who she actually was. She was always hustling for fame, and she forgot about the things that were important, like her family and helping people. She became obsessed with her looks, and she would do constant beauty treatments and always be on a strict diet. And she went from being a self-confident lady to being just vain, and she wouldn't even leave the house without makeup, a fancy outfit and perfect hair and nails. She was surrounded by self-obsessed people. and she was so tired of dating rich men with sports cars who had nothing to talk about and going to celebrity parties where nobody enjoyed themselves because everything was about business and networking. By 2008, her new life had lost its sparkle. She was doing pointless jobs, working hand to mouth, and she thought about how she should probably scale back the modelling and just focus on her TV career. Maybe she could look at journalism or go abroad to work on her CV. Feeling depressed, she logged onto Facebook, and it was there she saw a poke from a man named Lynch. He was good looking and a sportsman. There was lots of pictures of him doing karate and wrestling, and Katie had been a ring girl, so she saw they had mutual friends and she just assumed she must know him from the fighting industry. They began messaging, and immediately Danny just love bombed her with compliments, and she hadn't been feeling very confident, so this made her feel really flattered. They began dating, and he told her he was a computing student, that he was ambitious and owned a lot of property, and that he was a professional fighter. And Katie believed everything he said. She didn't have a reason not to. She just saw him as extremely chivalrous, this shy, sweet, kind man who would follow her everywhere, escort her to the toilet, and spend the whole night with his arms wrapped around her. However, Katie soon realised that Danny's lifestyle wasn't exactly as he had described it, because she went to visit his home and it was a council flat he was living in with his mum. And while she was there, his mum mentioned to Katie that she should be really careful about meeting strangers. And with that, Danny flew into a rage and threatened his mum. And Katie, she was a kind person and she didn't want to seem judgmental or shallow. Danny had told her he'd had a difficult life and maybe she could help him. However, her concerns, they continued to grow because Danny would phone and text her continuously, and she just found it really annoying. And he would switch from being a gentleman and buying her expensive gifts to being moody and aggressive and short-tempered and jealous. Katie was also shocked at the speed of the relationship because Danny told her he loved her after just a few days of meeting and wanted to move in together immediately. Luckily, Katie felt that she would be able to cool off the relationship because she had just been given a job working on a reality TV show with other models, and it was called Candy Crib. And so she thought she could just play along until she went to work, and she really didn't want to get into a confrontation with Danny. On a shopping trip together, Danny insisted that they buy matching trainers, and so they went to the local sports shop. And when they brought out the trainers, there was a scuff on one, and this sent Danny flying into a rage. This would happen again at their next destination when he began shouting abuse at the barber because he was cutting somebody else's hair and Danny had to wait. But while he was waiting, he started talking really loudly about his girlfriend Katie, the model, and boasting about her career, and Katie was absolutely mortified. That night they went out to an Italian restaurant, they had a nice time, and then Danny said, "Come on, let's go and stay at a hotel because we've both had a drink and we can just go and relax." They checked in, and once he was in the hotel with Katie, the mood took a turn for the worse. Danny snarled at Katie, he criticised her, and he insisted that they were intimate together immediately. Katie declined. She said no, And she was so tired of being in this relationship. She was suffocated by his jealousy and she hated his mood swings and aggressive behaviour. That rejection led to a night of horror for Katie. She was violated, beaten, and had her life threatened over and over again by Danny. Time slowed down, and Katie hid in the bathroom with serious injuries and waited until she could finally convince Danny to release her. Miraculously, Danny agreed to let her go home to her flat. And as soon as she got through the door, he bombarded her with phone calls saying she better not tell anyone. Who has she told? But actually, Katie denied this, but she had told her flatmates, and they tried to support her the best way they knew how, and they helped her get to hospital. Upon viewing her head injury, the doctor was not satisfied that this had happened by accident. But Katie was terrified to tell the truth because Danny had made it very clear to her that if she told anybody, then he would come back to get her. In a haze of distress, guilt, and self-hatred, Katie attempted to pack for her trip to her new job. And she packed a little bit, she went out to the hairdressers, but she was completely dissociated from her own body. Danny's constant harassment might be over if she could just get away. In a strangely calm message, Danny sent Katie an email and he said she needed to go over to the internet cafe to read it. It would explain everything and then he would leave Katie alone. Desperate, sleep deprived and battered, Katie reluctantly agreed, and so she pulled on an old tracksuit and she went to the destination, and Danny tracked her every move, being on the end of the phone. While she was on her way, she saw a strange, unkempt man coming towards her with his arms outstretched in front of him, holding a cup. And she looked at him and he had a vacancy. She felt sorry for him, so she went to reach in her bag to get him some money because she assumed he was begging. In this split second of distraction, the man threw his cup at Katie and the contents came hurtling towards her face. She was covered in liquid and she thought, "This man has just thrown his drink at me." But it wasn't a drink. It was sulfuric acid and the end of Katie's life as she knew it.